Welcome, dreamer, to Sleep Story's Nest, a quiet realm where your breath softens, your thoughts grow lighter, and your heart begins to remember what peace feels like. I'm Ethan, your guide through tonight's gentle journey, a story wrapped in moonlight and memory of forests that breathe, mirrors that whisper truth, and a girl whose kindness could awaken even the deepest sleep within the soul. So now, take a slow, unhurried breath, feel the weight of the day begin to melt from your body, and allow your eyes to grow heavy. Let the night cradle you as we drift together into another time, a kingdom of snow and shadow, where love, loss, and light entwine, and where your own reflection begins to soften until dreams, like snowflakes, start to fall. Beneath a sky the color of frozen silk, a hush settles across a land long forgotten. Snow drifts in slow spirals between the dark pines, each flake shimmering with secrets of the past. Somewhere in this winter kingdom stands a castle of pale stone, its windows glowing with the golden hush of candlelight. Inside, the air hums with quiet magic, a kind of stillness that listens rather than speaks. You find yourself walking toward that castle now, boots brushing through the soft snow, your breath rising in small clouds before you. The world feels distant, almost like a dream, and perhaps, in a way, it is. They say the heart of the kingdom lies within a single mirror, an ancient glass framed in silver, crafted to reflect not what is seen, but what is true. Once, it belonged to a queen whose beauty was as deep as her sorrow, and whose wish for perfection echoed louder than her heart. But tonight, our story belongs not to her, but to the girl who came after, a girl born with skin like moonlight and eyes clear as mountain streams, whose presence carried the softness of dawn after a long, endless night. Her name was Snow White, and though the world remembers her for her beauty, what truly made her radiant was the stillness inside her soul, a stillness that could calm the wildest wind and even the restless heart of fate itself. Now, as you breathe deeper, you begin to feel her story unfolding around you, a story of quiet courage, forgiveness, and renewal. The snow beneath your feet glows faintly, as if the ground itself remembers her steps. And as your mind drifts between waking and dream, the forest opens, inviting you inside. The world was quiet beneath the snow. Even the wind seemed to move gently through the valley, whispering against the dark pines, as though afraid to disturb the silence that wrapped the land like a spell. Here stood the ancient kingdom of Ardenthal, where every tower and gate was rimmed in frost, and where light itself seemed slower, softer, as if time paused to listen. You can almost hear the hush, the distant toll of a single bell drifting from the castle far above the frozen river. The sound moves through the cold like a breath, silver and slow, until it fades into the white expanse. It is the sound of a world waiting for change, for mercy, for a story to begin. In the highest tower of that castle, a queen once stood before a mirror framed in gold and sorrow. Her beauty was known across every border, her voice cool and clear as winter glass. And yet, beneath that beauty was a hunger that sleep could not soothe. Night after night, she whispered to her mirror, asking it who among all the realm was fairest, not out of vanity, but out of fear that she might fade, that she might no longer be enough. When the mirror answered with her name, she smiled, a smile both proud and fragile, the smile of someone terrified to lose their reflection. But the years moved quietly, as they always do, and one bitter evening, under a sky veiled in snow, the mirror's truth changed. "There is another," it murmured, "a child, born of sunlight and midnight. Her name is Snow White." The queen felt the world tilt, just slightly, as though the earth itself had exhaled something heavy. The fire in the hearth flickered, the air thickened. A single flake of snow drifted through the open window and melted upon the floor like a fallen tears. From that moment, love turned to longing, and longing turned to something colder. Down in the courtyard, the child grew in laughter and light. Snow White, pale as frost, eyes deep as a still lake, hair black as the ravens that perched upon the battlements. She carried with her a gentleness that disarmed even the hardest hearts. Servants smiled when she passed. The stables grew quieter when she spoke to the horses. It was as if she was born carrying peace, a secret language of kindness that even winter understood. And the queen, with each passing day, could no longer bear the sight of her. She would watch from the shadowed corridor as the girl danced through the gardens, touching every frozen rose with her small gloved hands, melting the frost wherever she lingered. There was magic in her, not of spells, but of stillness, the kind that heals what time forgets. And the queen's heart, bound by envy, began to harden against it. Yet in the stillness of night, when the moon poured through the tall windows and cast its glow across the chamber, there were moments, fleeting, fragile moments, when the queen would almost remember the love she once felt. She would walk to the sleeping child's room, stand beside the bed, and brush a strand of dark hair from her forehead. And for an instant, her breath would catch, the echo of tenderness awakening like a ghost in her chest. But the mirror waited, and the mirror always told the truth she feared most. So she turned away, colder each time. Outside the castle walls, the forest breathed differently. It was a living thing, vast, ancient, full of secrets. Beneath its branches, the snow gathered in quiet mounds. The rivers lay still beneath glassy skins of ice. If one listened closely, one could hear it, the pulse of the old magic that slept within every root and stone. It was said that long ago, before kings and crowns, this forest had belonged to the spirits of earth and air, and that they still lingered, patient and unseen. Snow White loved the forest. Whenever she escaped her lessons, she would wander along its edges, whispering to the trees, following the prints of deer through the snow. It was there she felt truly alive, surrounded by life older than sorrow. The robins seemed to sing only for her, and when she knelt beside the frozen pond, she could see the stars reflected beside her face, as if the sky itself had bent down to greet her. And sometimes, if you listen close, you can almost feel her presence even now. The soft rustle of her cloak, the gentle rhythm of her breath blending with the forest wind. There is something healing in that thought, that even in stories of jealousy and fear, innocence still glows like a candle that refuses to go out. In the kingdom below, the people spoke of the queen's beauty with reverence, yet they whispered too of her distance, her strange melancholy, her eyes that seemed to look through you rather than at you. And when they spoke of Snow White, their voices softened. They said the girl carried spring in her hands, that where she walked, snow melted just enough for flowers to dream beneath the frost. They said she smiled, even at the cold. Inside the queen's heart, however, winter deepened. The mirror had become her confessor, her tormentor. Every day, it reminded her that beauty was slipping from her grasp, that something purer had been born in its place. And so began the slow unraveling, the quiet, invisible war between fear and love. At night, the queen would sit before her mirror. In silence, the candlelight flickered across her pale skin, painting gold over the edges of despair. She would stare into her own eyes and whisper things not meant for words, questions that only echo. What is beauty if it fades? What is love if it cannot be possessed? What is a heart if all it knows is longing? Outside, the snow kept falling. It fell over the garden where Snow White slept in her dreams, over the courtyard where the guards stood motionless, over the forest where ancient spirits waited for the tale to turn. It fell endlessly, like a promise waiting to be fulfilled. And in the silence, between the falling snowflakes, something gentle began to shift, as if the world itself were preparing for awakening. Somewhere deep within that cold, quiet kingdom, the first threads of destiny stirred. The air thickened with the hum of change, and though no one could yet see it, the story of Snow White, of mirrors and mercy, of envy and forgiveness, had already begun its slow, luminous unfolding. You can take a breath here, feel it move softly in and out, like the wind between trees, because every story, even the ones wrapped in sorrow, carries within it a seed of light waiting to bloom. And in the kingdom of glass and shadows, that seed was her. There are rooms in every castle that seem to breathe when the night is still, long corridors where candlelight bends and fades, where footsteps echo softly as if the walls remember every secret ever spoken within them. In the castle of Ardenthal, there was one such room, small, secluded, locked by a door of dark oak, carved with ancient symbols no one alive could read. Behind that door lived the queen's most dangerous comfort, her mirror. She would visit it at dusk, when the rest of the palace settled into silence. The servants avoided that wing. The air there was cold, faintly metallic, as though the stone itself had grown weary. Only her heels, sharp and deliberate, would break the stillness as she approached. The mirror waited for her. Tall, rippled like frozen water, its frame twined in gold vines that seemed almost alive. And when she stood before it, her reflection shimmered and stilled. "Speak," she would say softly, her voice careful, afraid of the truth yet aching for it. "Tell me what I must know." And the mirror would answer, its voice neither man nor woman, but something timeless, hollow as wind through an empty hall. "My queen, your grace is unmatched. Yet beauty changes with the turning of the seasons. There is one whose heart outshines even the glow that dwells within you, Snow White." The words came like frost, silent, perfect, lethal. They melted slowly, sinking beneath her ribs where they froze again into shards. Each time, she tried to steady her breath, but envy crept in like cold water, slow and invisible, filling her lungs until she could hardly speak. She would stare at her reflection until it blurred, the line between herself and the ghost in the glass dissolving. "Why?" she would whisper. "Why her?" But the mirror never lied, and it never answered more than it wished to. Its truth was its cruelty. Days turned colder, snow fell thick upon the valley, coating the statues, the balconies, the long stone bridge that led to the gates. The castle became a monument to silence. Even the music of court grew faint. Laughter no longer echoed through its halls. The queen moved like a spirit through her own home, her presence followed by an air of winter that dimmed the firelight wherever she went. Snow White, now grown into her grace, felt the change. She tried to reach her stepmother with kindness, small gestures, soft words, the way one might coax warmth back into something nearly frozen. But the queen's eyes had grown sharp, glassy, distant. Where once they had reflected moonlight, now they only reflected the mirror. And so, Snow White began to walk more often in the forest, to breathe among the evergreens, to listen to the quiet harmony of snow and wind. Each step she took left a faint imprint, as if she were marking a path for something ancient to follow. The animals watched her with soft eyes. Even the trees seemed to bend slightly toward her. The forest loved her in a way that made the heavens take notice. There are places in this world where sorrow grows thin, where the veil between seen and unseen shivers and parts. The deeper Snow White wandered, the more she felt it, that pulse beneath her feet. The old rhythm of life that had been there before crowns, before mirrors, before envy had a name. It was here, in the silence of the trees, that she began to find peace. Not because she sought it, but because peace found her. Sometimes she would pause and close her eyes, feeling the cold air touch her skin like breath. She would think of her mother, gone long ago, the woman whose kindness had shaped the first light of her soul. And though she could not remember her face clearly, she felt her presence, soft as snowlight. It told her, wordlessly, to remain gentle, even when the world grew cruel, to keep her heart open, for that was her truest protection. Back in the castle, the queen's envy ripened into resolve. It is a dangerous thing, how quiet anger becomes when it decides to act. No thunder, no shouting, only calm calculation, the stillness before a storm that cannot be stopped. And so, she called for her most loyal huntsman. He came at dusk, kneeling low, eyes lowered. He had served her since his youth, a man who knew the forest's every path and shadow. The queen's voice when she spoke was almost tender. "There is a girl," she said, "a child who threatens the balance of this realm. You will take her to the woods. You will ensure she does not return." The huntsman hesitated, only for a breath, only for a flicker of conscience. But that was enough for the queen to see. Her gaze, cold and clear, pinned him like a blade. "Do this," she murmured, "and you will be free from my debt forever." He bowed. He said nothing, but when he left, his hands trembled, and his shadow seemed heavier than before. That night, as the moon climbed high and pale, the queen stood before her mirror once more. Its surface rippled faintly, like the breath of a lake. "She will be gone by dawn," she whispered, "and then peace will return to me." But the mirror only flickered, for even it knew no heart built upon envy will ever find peace. And behind its silver face, something older than magic stirred, a reflection not of vanity, but of truth. It saw what the queen refused to see, that her hatred was not for Snow White, but for the part of herself she had forgotten long ago, the innocent wonder, the love unguarded, and as she turned away, the mirror whispered to the empty room, "You cannot kill the light, my queen. You can only chase it until you are lost in your own shadow." Outside, the snow fell thicker, covering the path where the huntsman would soon walk. The forest waited, silent, vast, eternal, and somewhere deep within its frozen heart, destiny began to breathe. Morning came quietly, gray and pale, the kind of morning that feels like it's holding its breath. Snow White woke to find a thin frost along her window and the hush of snow falling outside. Her heart felt heavy, though she could not say why. Perhaps it was the stillness in the air, that strange, waiting stillness before change. When the queen summoned her to walk in the woods, she felt a flicker of unease, like a shadow behind the sunlight, but she obeyed, as she always did, with gentleness and trust. The huntsman waited by the gates. His cloak was dark, his eyes unreadable beneath the brim of his hood. He bowed as she approached, yet he could not meet her gaze for long. The great iron gates opened with a groan, and together they stepped into the white expanse beyond the castle walls. Behind them, the kingdom's spires faded into mist. Before them, the forest opened, vast, silent, infinite. The snow muffled every sound. Their footsteps left a narrow trail between the trees, and the air smelled of pine and cold stone. No words passed between them at first. The huntsman's jaw was tight, his breath visible in short clouds. Snow White looked up at the branches arching overhead, each one heavy with frost, bending toward the earth, as if listening. It felt less like walking through a forest, and more like walking through a dream. After some time, she spoke, her voice soft, almost musical. "Do you ever think the woods can feel what we feel?" The huntsman glanced at her, startled. She smiled faintly. "It's as though they hold their breath when we're sad, and sigh with us when we let it go." He said nothing, but something in his face softened, the faintest crack in a wall built long ago. They walked farther, past a brook frozen in motion, past a hollow where the snow lay untouched and pure. At last, they came to a clearing where the light spilled like liquid silver. The huntsman stopped. He removed his gloves slowly, as though every movement cost him something, and then, without looking at her, he spoke. "My lady, forgive me. I was sent to take your life." The forest seemed to inhale. Every sound, every whisper of wind, every distant bird fell away. Snow White did not move. She only watched him, eyes calm, wide, deep as the winter sky. "I cannot do it," he said, voice breaking. "You are not what she believes you to be. There is no evil in you." He dropped to one knee, the knife falling from his hand into the snow. "Run," he whispered. "Run, and do not look back." Snow White looked at him for a long moment, not with fear, but with sorrow. She saw the pain in his eyes, the conflict of loyalty and conscience. Then she stepped closer and touched his shoulder gently. "I forgive you," she said, her voice soft as snowlight. The huntsman bowed his head, unable to speak, and then she turned and fled into the trees. Her cloak fluttered behind her like a red shadow, the only color in a world of white. Branches brushed her cheeks, roots tangled beneath her feet. Her breath came in small, visible clouds. The deeper she ran, the stranger the forest became. The snow seemed to shimmer. The air hummed faintly, and the light shifted between blue and gold. a world transforming with every step. When she could run no more, she stopped beside an ancient oak. Its bark was silvered with age, its roots coiled like the veins of the earth. Leaning against it, she closed her eyes, letting her breath slow, feeling the pulse of the forest beneath her palms. And in that stillness, that sacred pause between fear and calm, she began to sense something vast awakening around her. The forest spoke in silence, not in words, but in the soft rhythm of life continuing. A bird taking flight, snow falling from a branch, the faint creak of wood. She felt small beneath its wisdom, yet protected, as if unseen hands were gathering her in. And for the first time, she understood. The world was alive in ways no human could command. The forest was not a place to fear, it was a teacher, and it had been waiting for her. She opened her eyes and saw faint lights flickering through the trees. Not fire, not torchlight, but a soft golden glow, moving gently as though floating on air. Drawn by curiosity more than fear, she followed. Each step carried her deeper into the heart of the forest, where the snow grew thinner and the earth began to breathe again. Finally, she came upon a small clearing, and there, nestled between moss and stone, stood a tiny cottage, warm and bright beneath the twilight sky. Smoke rose from its chimney, curling lazily into the cold air. 7 little windows glowed with amber light, and the sound of soft humming drifted through the door. Snow White stood there for a moment, listening. Something in her heart stirred. Recognition, perhaps, or destiny. She knocked gently. No one answered, so she pushed the door open and stepped inside. It was a home, small, cluttered, full of warmth. The hearth burned softly, casting golden light upon the walls. The table was set for 7 tiny chairs, tiny cups, a loaf of bread half sliced, as though someone had just left their meal. Everything seemed made with care, with love, and though she had never been here before, she felt she belonged. She sat by the fire, her body trembling with exhaustion. Her mind drifted between waking and dreaming. For the first time in her life, there were no mirrors, no eyes of judgment, only the quiet hum of the flames and the steady heartbeat of the forest outside. Her breathing slowed, her thoughts softened. She closed her eyes and whispered to herself, "I am safe now." And for the first time in years, she believed it. Outside, the snow began to fall again, not heavy this time, but light and slow, like a benediction. The forest, vast and ancient, exhaled in contentment. Its pulse moved through the roots and branches, carrying her presence deeper into its memory. Far away, in the cold corridors of the castle, the mirror stirred. Its surface shimmered, reflecting not the queen, but the truth she feared most. "My queen," it murmured. "Snow White still lives, and her light grows brighter." The queen's hands clenched against the table's edge. A single candle flickered and went out. For the first time, fear crept into her eyes, because no matter how far one runs from innocence, the light always finds its way home. Morning arrives softly, like a sigh that drifts across the forest. Through the curtains of mist, the first rays of sunlight weave their way through ancient boughs. Touching leaves still jeweled with dew, the forest breathes, calm and unhurried, and in its heart lies a small clearing where a cottage rests beneath the trees. Its roof, moss-covered and dappled with light, glows faintly under the golden haze of dawn. Inside, Snow White lies asleep upon a bed of woven blankets, her chest rising and falling in the rhythm of peace. For the first time in many days, her dreams are not haunted. The fear that once bound her now dissolves into the hush of the morning, the silence of safety. The fire has long turned to embers, their faint glow painting soft orange lines upon the wooden walls. A kettle murmurs quietly on the hearth, though no one has stoked it. There is a presence in this place, unseen but kind, that moves like a gentle memory through every corner of the cottage. When Snow White stirs, she feels warmth instead of dread. She opens her eyes to a world painted in soft amber light. The scent of pine and honey drifts through the air, mingling with the distant murmur of a stream outside. For a long while, she does not move. She simply listens to the whisper of wind through the leaves, to her own heartbeat finding a calm rhythm again. And in that listening, she feels something shift within her, a space widening, a quiet she did not know she had been craving. As she sits up, a soft blanket slips from her shoulders, revealing a table nearby laden with bread, fruit, and a small wooden bowl of clear water. Someone has cared for her here. Someone has watched over her while she slept. She rises, her bare feet touching the cool floorboards, and crosses to the window. Outside, the forest opens like a cathedral, tall trees rising like pillars, the air alive with birdsong. A small path winds between ferns, leading down to where the stream glimmers beneath the morning sun. The cottage feels ancient, but alive. Every shelf, every chair, every cup seems to hold the memory of laughter and gentle work. A broom rests by the door, as if someone had just used it. On the mantel, a row of carved wooden animals watches her silently. A bear, a fox, a deer, and a small dove, wings open as though mid-flight. She traces a finger across their surfaces, feeling the grain of the wood beneath her skin. The carvings are imperfect, yet made with such care that they seem almost to breathe. In this stillness, Snow White finds a strange kind of companionship. Though she is alone, the air hums with quiet life, with the unseen hands that must dwell here, perhaps watching from a distance. She takes a slow breath, letting it fill her lungs. For the first time since leaving the castle, her breath feels full and easy. You can imagine her here, standing in a sunbeam that cuts through the quiet, her hair brushed by gold, her face soft with wonder. She feels small, yet held by something larger, by the forest itself, by the invisible kindness that had guided her here. When she steps outside, the world greets her with birdsong. The path crunches beneath her feet, and the morning air kisses her skin with a cool, living touch. The forest seems to hum in approval. A squirrel darts along a branch, pausing to watch her with bright eyes before vanishing into the leaves. Everywhere she looks, the world feels awake, but not hurried. Life here moves at the pace of breath, of heartbeat, of sunrise. It reminds her of the rhythm of a lullaby, steady, soothing, endless. She kneels by the stream, cupping her hands to drink. The water is clear and cold, reflecting her face in small ripples. She studies her reflection, the same face she's known all her life, but different somehow, softer, more her own. stirs the branches above, and sunlight dances across her reflection. For a moment, she sees herself not as the frightened girl who fled a castle, but as part of this living, breathing forest, another creature belonging wholly to it. In that moment, something deep within her exhales. Snow White lingers by the stream for a long time, her thoughts drifting like petals on water. The sound of the forest folds around her, leaves murmuring, birds calling from the canopy, the gentle rhythm of water against stone. It feels as though the world itself is breathing with her. And then, faintly, she hears laughter. It is soft, high, and light, like bells ringing from far away. Startled, yet curious, she turns toward the sound. Through the trees, she glimpses movement, a flash of color, the ripple of small figures, weaving through sunlight and shadow. She follows quietly, her steps sinking into moss, her heart quick, but not afraid. The forest opens into another clearing, where flowers bloom in wild harmony. Bluebells, foxgloves, and tiny stars of white that shimmer in the morning glow. There, among the blossoms, move 7 small figures. They are unlike any she has seen. Sturdy, kind-eyed, with faces shaped by laughter and long years of work. Each one hums a tune of their own as they gather wood, draw water, and tend to the earth. For a moment, Snow White watches unseen, a smile forming despite herself. There is no trace of fear here, no echo of cruelty or pride, only the simple, unhurried rhythm of care. When she steps forward, one of them, a silver-bearded elder with bright eyes, notices her and freezes mid-step. The others turn, surprised, but not unkind. Their eyes widen, not in suspicion, but wonder, as if they recognize something sacred in her presence, something both fragile and luminous. The eldest steps forward, his voice gentle as he asks, "Are you lost, child of the forest?" Snow White hesitates, then bows her head. I suppose I am. I fled from a place where kindness had grown cold. I found your cottage, and I meant no harm." The elder nods slowly. The forest guides those who need shelter. If you have come here, then it is because the trees wished you safe. His words fall like leaves, simple, true, and grounding. The others exchange glances, and one by one, their expressions soften. A round-faced one steps forward with a small loaf of bread in his hands, still warm from the oven. "Then you must stay," he says cheerfully. "We always have room for another heartbeat at the table." And so, she does. They bring her back to the cottage, the very same place where she had awakened, now alive with laughter and movement. The sound of wooden bowls, of sweeping brooms, of a kettle singing on the fire, each note a small hymn of peace. Snow White helps where she can, sweeping, cooking, tending to the garden. Her touch brings a gentle order to the space, though she never commands, never leads. She simply moves with grace, and the little home seems to bloom around her. In the evenings, when the forest turns blue and the last rays of sun filter through the branches, the 7 gather near the hearth. They tell stories of stars that fell into rivers, of mountains that hum in their sleep, of the great oak at the edge of the world that remembers every name ever spoken. Snow White listens, her eyes reflecting the firelight, her heart learning the rhythm of peace once more. Sometimes They ask her to speak of her past, but she only smiles softly and says, "Some stories are meant to rest before they are told." And they nod, understanding without words. Days drift into weeks. The forest wraps around her like a friend, and she begins to glow again, not with the polished light of the castle's mirrors, but with the quiet radiance of someone becoming whole. Each morning, she walks barefoot along the stream, feeling the cold water kiss her skin. Each night, she sits beneath the stars, listening to the wind move through the trees. And in those moments, she feels a truth rising in her like dawn, that she does not need crowns or titles to be worthy of love. That peace can be found not in grandeur, but in the still rhythm of a gentle life. The dwarfs notice the change too. "You smile more now," one says. Snow White nods, her eyes half closed. "Perhaps it's because I've stopped running." The elder looks at her for a long moment and replies, "Sometimes the hardest journey is the one that leads us home to ourselves." The words linger like incense, sinking deep into her spirit. Later that night, when all have gone to sleep, Snow White steps outside once more. The forest glows beneath the moon, silver light pouring over branches, illuminating every leaf, every blade of grass. She tilts her head back, eyes tracing the constellations that crown the sky. For the first time, she does not feel like a lost girl. She feels like part of the sky itself, vast, breathing eternal. Her breath deepens, her shoulders soften, her mind quiets, and in that deep stillness, where thought fades and only presence remains, she feels something like love washing through her, not the love of another, but the love that rises from within when the soul finally rests. Far beyond the quiet forest, the old castle still stands, wrapped in the silence of winter. Its corridors echo faintly, not with laughter or life, but with the hollow hum of passing time. Frost has claimed the marble steps. The gardens lie buried beneath sheets of ice, and the grand halls shimmer faintly with candlelight that never quite warms the air. Within the highest tower, where moonlight filters through tall windows, the queen sits before her mirror. It gleams like still water, framed in black iron, polished so finely that it seems alive, breathing, waiting. The queen's reflection stares back at her, flawless and cold, but something in her eyes trembles, a flicker of restlessness, like wind caught inside glass. She leans closer, her voice low, smooth, and trembling with old hunger. "Mirror," she whispers, "who among all living souls holds the truest beauty now?" The mirror hums, its surface rippling faintly. For a moment, the queen's own image dissolves into silver mist, and another vision rises through the haze. A forest, green and gold beneath sunlight. A young woman walking barefoot along a stream, Snow White, alive. The queen inhales sharply, her hand tightening around the edge of the mirror. The surface trembles, whispering in 1,000 unseen voices, soft, echoing, endless. She steps back, her breath unsteady. No, it cannot be. But the mirror does not lie. Its light pulses softly, showing Snow White's face, calm, radiant, alive in a way that no crown or silk could ever replicate. The queen watches, entranced and undone. She sees the glow of peace in the girl's expression, a beauty not painted or adorned, but born of stillness. And that truth pierces deeper than envy itself. For beauty that rises from love, from forgiveness, from belonging, such beauty cannot be rivaled by the mirror's sheen. It does not fade because it does not depend on admiration. The queen stares until her reflection begins to split, her own face layered atop Snow White's, flickering, merging, separating again. Her heartbeat echoes in her ears, and for the first time, she feels afraid of herself. Outside, the wind howls around the tower, a voice of the world reminding her that time moves on, that the heart cannot stay frozen forever. But she resists it. Pride has become her armor, her identity, her cage. She speaks to the mirror again, more sharply this time. Why do you show me what I no longer wish to see? And the mirror, in its strange, whispering voice, answers not with words, but with silence, the kind that reflects everything you hide from. The queen turns away, pacing the cold floor. Her gown rustles like dry leaves. Memories rise of her youth, of the days when she too was soft and open-hearted, when laughter echoed through the halls and her eyes still carried light. But the years, the isolation, the endless search for perfection had worn her spirit thin, turning her gentleness into glass. Now, even her beauty feels heavy, like something she must protect, prove, defend. And deep within that fragile pride lies sorrow, the unspoken grief, one who has forgotten how to love herself without comparison. She looks at the mirror again, and in that still surface, she glimpses not Snow White, not herself, but emptiness, an echo of what might have been, a reflection of the life she could have lived if she had chosen love over fear. For a fleeting second, her breath catches. Something in her wants to weep. Something human stirs beneath the layers of vanity, the faint pulse of a heart that remembers warmth. But the moment passes like smoke. She straightens her crown and lifts her chin. Her voice returns to its polished edge. If she still lives, then she will live no longer. Yet even as she speaks the words, the mirror trembles, its silver light rippling as though it mourns for her. The queen turns away from it and walks toward the tall window. The moonlight falls across her face, cold and clear. Far below, the forest stretches into the horizon, vast, ancient, and untamed. Somewhere within it, the life she tried to erase now thrives, and something deep inside her cracks, though she cannot name it. The whisper of envy has become more than jealousy. It is a wound that refuses to close, a mirror that keeps reflecting the absence of peace. She closes her eyes and listens to the wind outside. It sounds like a distant voice, calm, forgiving, calling her home. But she is not ready to hear it yet. Not yet. Night deepens over the castle. The torches fade, one by one, until the hallways lie silver under the moon. The queen remains alone in the tower, her hands resting upon the mirror's dark edge, her breath ghosting over the glass. The stillness grows heavy, a silence so vast it begins to hum. And then, from somewhere beyond her reflection, a voice stirs, not a man's, not a woman's, more like the echo of her own thought given form. Why do you seek what is already within you? The queen's eyes widen. She looks into the mirror, but it shows no image, only her pale face haloed in mist. She whispers, "What do you mean?" The voice comes again, calm, steady, like a river beneath ice. You ask to know who is fairest, but the question itself blinds you. You measure beauty in shadows, not light. Her hands tremble. You speak in riddles, not riddles, the voice replies softly. Reflections. You built your world from fear. Fear of time, fear of loss, fear that your worth will fade when the eyes of others turn away. But beauty is not a crown to wear, it is the soul's remembering of peace. The queen steps back, her pulse quickening. You speak as if I am broken. The mirror hums, its surface rippling with faint light. Not broken, only asleep. The words strike something deep within her. She thinks of the years she has hidden from the world. Behind mirrors, jewels, powders, smiles that never reached her eyes. How long has she been asleep beneath the weight of her own perfection? For a moment, she sees herself clearly. Not the flawless queen, but the woman beneath the silk, weary and human. A tear forms, unbidden, tracing the curve of her cheek. The mirror's light softens, almost compassionate. To awaken, the voice murmurs, you must learn to see again, not through envy, but through the heart. The queen stares at her reflection. In the glass, she sees her younger self, a girl laughing beneath apple blossoms, her hair loose, her face unpainted, a girl who loved the scent of rain and believed in kindness. The vision trembles, fading in and out of her older face like a ghost of possibility. She lifts her hand to the mirror's surface, fingertips brushing the cool glass. For an instant, she almost feels warmth beneath it, but the warmth frightens her. It threatens to undo all she has built, and so she pulls her hand away, her breath unsteady. The old pride rises again, whispering in her mind, if you cannot be the most beautiful, you are nothing at all. Her jaw tightens, the mirror's light dims, as though retreating in sorrow. The voice fades to a sigh. You choose the dream once more. Very well, but remember, every reflection returns to its source. The queen turns sharply. Enough. Her voice cracks through the chamber, echoing off the stone. The mirror's surface goes dark. No light, no movement, only her own reflection, sharp and distant. She stands there, chest heaving, until the silence returns. Then slowly, she lowers herself to the cold floor, the weight of her crown pressing against her temples. Outside, the wind moans through the towers like a morning song. Somewhere in the forest, unseen and untouched by her wrath, Snow White sleeps in peace, her breath steady, her heart unburdened. And though the queen cannot see it, that peace begins to reach her too, quietly, invisibly, as if the forest itself is breathing forgiveness into the night. A faint tremor runs through the castle walls. A candle flickers and dies. The queen's eyes drift closed, and for a moment, she feels it, that same stillness she once feared. It is vast, weightless, kind. It does not demand that she be beautiful. It simply asks that she be. Her body softens, Her thoughts slow, and for the first time in many years, she rests without judgment. Outside, dawn begins to stir beyond the mountains, its first light brushing the tips of the frozen trees. The mirror glows faintly once more, not in silver or shadow, but in a soft, golden hue, as if even it has forgiven her. And in the hush between breaths, the world itself seems to whisper, "Beauty is not what you hold, but what you allow yourself to release." The queen breathes out, slow and deep. The night exhales with her. The forest had begun to change, though subtly, like the air itself had started to hold its breath, waiting for something unnamed to arrive. The mornings no longer sang with such certainty, and even the trees seemed to stand a little stiller, their leaves whispering quieter songs. Snow White could feel it, a faint stirring beyond the veil of her peace, a pulse of something watching, something that did not belong to the stillness she had so carefully tended. She moved through the garden one afternoon, gathering herbs and fallen petals into her basket, her mind wandering between gratitude and a soft, unspoken ache. The sunlight slanted low through the branches, painting her hair in threads of gold, and yet the warmth did not reach her the same way it once had. It was as though the forest itself was holding a secret it could not tell her. She had seen a figure once, or thought she had, between the trees beyond the brook. A woman cloaked in gray, the shimmer of glass or metal glinting from beneath her sleeve. When Snow White turned to look fully, there had been nothing, only a trembling in the leaves, only the echo of her own breath. That night, she dreamt of mirrors, 1,000 reflections caught in moonlight, her own face folding into another's, a colder, older face, her stepmother's. The voice from the dream spoke not in anger this time, but in longing. There is beauty that blinds, and there is beauty that heals. Do you know the difference, child? When Snow White woke, the words followed her like shadows, clinging softly to her heart. Days passed. She tried to let the question dissolve into her chores, kneading bread, tending the deer, sweeping the warm wooden floors of the cottage. But still, something stirred, and then, one golden afternoon, the air shifted. A gentle knock at the door, not the sound of the wind, not the knock of the small ones who lived with her, but a new sound, deliberate, patient, human. Snow White hesitated. The silence between the knocks stretched like a held breath. When she opened the door, a woman stood there, cloaked in travel dust and sorrow, her face hidden by a heavy hood. In her hands, a small basket from which a glimmer of red shone like captured firelight. "Forgive me," the woman said softly, her voice trembling with age. "I am a traveler from the village beyond the hills. I have wandered far and lost my way. Might you spare me a drink of water? Or perhaps share your shade for a moment? I have these apples, sweet, fresh, from my own garden, but they've grown heavy to carry." The words were gentle, the eyes beneath the hood unreadable. Snow White, in her kindness, felt no fear. The old compassion that lived at the center of her being rose to the surface, pure and unguarded. "Come in," she said, motioning toward the hearth. "You may rest here, as long as you need." The woman smiled faintly. Stepping inside, she placed the basket on the table, and for a moment, the entire room seemed to glow from within the fruit, red as living flame, perfect, glistening. each one catching the light like a jewel. "You live alone, child?" the woman asked softly, her voice almost a whisper. "No," Snow White replied, shaking her head gently. "Not alone. The forest watches over me. The small ones keep me company. The birds sing to me when I wake." The woman tilted her head, a faint sadness glimmering behind her eyes. "Then perhaps you know how lonely the world can be, even when it's full of voices." Snow White paused, the words cutting through her calm like a faint wind through silk. There was something in that voice, not cruelty, but longing, as though the stranger herself carried a wound too heavy to name. The woman lifted an apple from the basket. "Would you share one with me?" Snow White hesitated, though she did not know why. Her breath slowed, her heart whispering something old, instinctive, a warning perhaps, but the kindness in her nature was stronger than her suspicion. "Of course," she said softly, reaching out her hand, and as her fingers brushed the cool, shining surface of the apple, time seemed to pause. The sound of the wind stilled, the rustle of the forest ceased, and the world leaned into silence. She looked at her reflection in the apple's red skin, her face framed by the light of the hearth, her eyes open, wondering, and then another reflection appeared, faintly beside her own, a face older, sharper, worn by envy and regret, the woman's face, and in that reflection, Snow White finally understood. This was no stranger. This was the echo of her past, the shadow of her stepmother's pain, wearing flesh and memory, but she did not recoil. She did not cry out. She only whispered, "I forgive you." The woman froze. Her hands trembled. For an instant, she looked young again, radiant and human, as if forgiveness itself had peeled away her disguise. But the moment shattered as quickly as it came. The apple slipped from her hands. Snow White caught it, and as she did, she felt a soft drowsiness drift through her, like the forest itself, exhaling through her lungs. Her knees weakened, her breath slowed, and she sank gently to the floor, her head resting against the table, the apple rolling free. And yet, her face was peaceful. Her last thought was not fear, but calm, a surrender, a knowing, a descent not into death, but into deep, luminous sleep. The forest grew quiet. A stillness spread outward from the little cottage, like a tide of glass, touching branch and root, stone and air. The birds stopped mid-song. The brook stilled its silver voice. Even the wind, that endless wanderer, lingered at the edge of the trees and dared not pass the threshold. Snow White lay upon the wooden floor, her face soft, her breath invisible, her skin kissed by moonlight that streamed through the open window. The apple rested beside her hand, gleaming faintly, as though it still held within it the shimmer of temptation or redemption. The small ones, her faithful companions, found her there at dusk. They did not cry out. They simply knelt, one by one, their eyes wide, their hearts trembling like leaves in early frost. They touched her hands, cool as river stone. They whispered her name, and the forest listened. Days passed into weeks, the rhythm of time folding itself around her like a veil. The trees grew thick with moss. The brook wound quietly through the valley. and yet the clearing remained untouched by decay. The air shimmered with an unseen pulse, as though life itself waited in silence. They built for her a glass casket carved from the crystal bones of the mountain stream, pure and transparent, resting upon the soft grass beneath the ancient oaks. Within it, she lay as though sleeping, her lips faintly red, her hair spilling like night across her shoulders. Around her, flowers bloomed that no hand had planted, white blossoms that only open when the heart of the world remembers what it means to love. Seasons turned. Winter came, blanketing the forest in a hush of snow. Spring followed, gentle and patient, coaxing life back from the edges of frost. And one day, far beyond the reckoning of grief, a traveler entered the forest. He was a man of quiet bearing, cloaked in dust, his eyes weary from distant roads. He did not seek gold or glory, but rest, a place to breathe. His horse moved slowly, as though led by something deeper than sight. The path took him through the valley, where the air grew strange, and the silence thickened like mist. Then he saw it, the clearing, the glass, the girl sleeping within. He dismounted and approached, drawn by something he could not name. At first, he only stood beside her, his shadow trembling across the crystal. He did not reach for her hand, did not call her name. He did not even know it. He only watched her stillness and felt within himself a stirring, a memory, not his own, like a song long forgotten, yet known by the heart. And in that silence, he understood this was not a maiden cursed. This was the dream of the world, the part of every soul that waits, patient and unyielding, to be awakened by truth, not by desire. He knelt beside the casket, bowing his head, and whispered softly, "If you are meant to wake, wake. If not, may you rest in peace, deeper than sleep." Then, the faintest movement, a single breath, delicate as dawn mist. The petals around her stirred, the air rippled, gold threading through the light. Snow White exhaled, her lashes fluttered, the forest gasped. When her eyes opened, the world shifted, not loudly, but gently, like the first light spilling over mountains. She looked around as if through water, shapes soft, edges blurred, until her gaze found him, a stranger. Yes, but something in his presence felt familiar, as though she had met him in a dream between lifetimes. "Where am I?" Her voice, quiet, almost part of the wind. "In the heart of the forest," he said softly, "among those who loved you enough to wait." Her eyes lowered, then lifted again. The memory came back. The apple, the woman, the forgiveness. But the pain was gone, replaced by stillness, like a lake that reflects stars rather than storm. The stranger looked at her, not as one might gaze upon beauty, but upon truth. "You've been asleep a long time," he murmured. Snow White smiled faintly. "Perhaps I was never truly awake before." She stepped from the casket, the glass melting into dew beneath her feet. The forest, once silent, began to breathe again, birds breaking into soft song, the brook resuming its voice, the trees sighing in relief. As she walked, flowers opened where her feet touched the ground, each one carrying a whisper of her dream, of peace, forgiveness, and the gentle courage that comes not from battle, but from surrender. The man followed, though not to possess or to lead, only to witness. He could feel her calm radiating outward, soothing even the ache in his own chest. They came to a lake at the forest's edge, its surface still, reflecting both of them in perfect symmetry. Snow White looked at her reflection, then beyond it. "I used to believe beauty was something others saw," she said softly. "Now, I know it's something that listens, something that heals." He nodded. "Then the mirror was never your enemy?" "No," she whispered. "It was only waiting for me to see." The sky darkened gently, turning to indigo. Stars bloomed overhead, like the memory of all who have ever loved and been loved. Snow White stood in the starlight, her eyes half closed, her voice low, not speaking to him, not even to herself, but to the listener, to the soul beyond time. You who hear this now, know that rest is not the end. It is the return, that within your stillness lives the same light that once woke me. Breathe softly. Let go of all that clings. The world will wait, the heart will guide, and when the morning comes, it will find you whole again. The night deepened, folding them both into silver silence. The reflection of the stars shimmered upon the lake, and one by one they began to dissolve, blending into mist, into peace, into dream. Snow White's figure blurred softly against the horizon, not gone, but returned, her essence scattering like petals into the wind. And so the forest slept once more, not from sorrow, but from serenity. The first light of morning drifted gently across the forest floor, a thin golden mist rising through the trees like breath from the earth itself. The quiet traveler had built a small fire, its last embers glowing beneath the still branches. Snow White sat beside it, her cloak wrapped around her shoulders, feeling the hush of dawn press softly against her skin. For the first time in many nights, she did not wake from fear. She woke from peace. The forest seemed to know. Leaves trembled with light. The faintest song of a thrush spiraled upward into the waking sky. And as she breathed, she felt that the world was breathing with her. Slow, steady, forgiving. The traveler looked at her without words. His eyes, calm and steady as river stones, seemed to ask if she was ready, and she was. They began to walk beneath the canopy, their footsteps sinking into damp moss. The path soft as velvet beneath their feet. The air smelt of pine and rain and new beginnings. Sometimes, the traveler said quietly, we leave not to escape the world, but to find our way back to it. Snow White listened, not just to his voice, but to the rhythm beneath it, the pulse of his thought carried in tone more than words. Each sentence was like a lantern in the dark, small, glowing truths to guide her home. I have walked for so long, she said softly, that I no longer remember what I ran from. The traveler smiled. Then you are ready to return. They crossed a stream that shimmered in the sunlight, the water so clear that the sky itself seemed to flow beneath their feet. As they walked, Snow White began to remember small things: laughter in corridors, the scent of roses from the castle garden, her father's voice calling her name when she was a child. Memories that once hurt now felt like ripples on a calm lake, distant, harmless, gentle. Above them, the forest thinned. Light poured through in soft waves, turning each branch into gold. The sound of bells drifted faintly from far away, the kingdom's morning chime. Home was near, but it no longer felt like a place. It felt like an inner clearing, a space that had opened within her, wide and quiet and whole. The traveler walked a few steps ahead, his shadow stretching long across the trail. Every kingdom, he said, is born twice, once in stone and once in the heart. Snow White paused to watch the sunlight break across the horizon, the world widening with color. And in that moment, she understood. She was not returning to reclaim what she had lost. She was returning to forgive what had been. Her heart was no longer bound by the fear of the queen or the memory of cruelty. Those were only ghosts now, echoes of an old dream dissolving in light. The path ahead shimmered, and with each step, she felt lighter, her body softening, her breath deepening, her thoughts slowing to the rhythm of the world itself. The forest's edge came at last. Beyond it, a valley opened in silver fog. She could see the faint spires of the castle rising through the mist, distant, timeless, like something remembered from another life. The traveler stopped beside her. "When you cross this valley," he said, "you will no longer be who you were when you fled. The world changes when the heart does." Snow White looked toward the horizon. There was no fear left, only a quiet curiosity, a gentle acceptance. She turned to him, her voice soft as wind through leaves. "Will you walk with me?" He nodded. "Until the gates open." And so they began again, down the long winding hill into the valley of home. The air shimmered with dew and morning light. Birds rose like prayers into the sky. Each step felt sacred, as if the world itself was exhaling with them, releasing the story that had bound them both to shadow. The kingdom waited, not as a place of power, but as a mirror, ready to reflect the calm that now lived within her. And so they walked on, through gold and silence, through the slow unfolding of forgiveness, until the castle towers glowed like lanterns in the distance, and the past itself began to fade into light. The road that led back to the kingdom curved through fields of frost-kissed grass. Morning light spilled across the valley like liquid gold, brushing the edges of the world awake. Snow White and the traveler walked side by side in silence, their shadows long and thin, stretching toward the distant castle. No guards stood at the gates. No voices carried through the air. The village below the hill seemed still, as though time itself had taken a breath and forgotten to release it. Windows glimmered faintly with frost. Ivy climbed the stone walls, tracing patterns of patience. When Snow White stepped across the threshold of the outer gate, the echo of her footsteps rose softly and faded again. The kingdom she remembered, filled once with laughter, market bells, and color, was quiet now, wrapped in a dreamlike calm. The traveler said nothing. He only watched her face, as though to remind her that stillness was not emptiness. It was peace, returning home. They passed through the silent streets, where dust hung like memory in the air. The fountains had frozen mid-splash, the gardens lay dormant beneath pale light, yet there was beauty in it all. The kind of beauty born from waiting, from stillness, from surrender. At the center of the square stood the statue of the old king, her father, carved in marble. Long ago, Snow White paused, her hand brushing the cold stone of his arm. His eyes, carved in eternal kindness, seemed to hold the same calm the traveler carried, a quiet knowing that life moves not in haste, but in circles. "I thought I had lost everything," she whispered, her voice trembling with awe more than sorrow. "You only lost the noise," the traveler replied gently. "The heart was never gone." They climbed the long stairway toward the castle. Each step rose like a memory, her childhood laughter echoing faintly between the walls, the scent of roses from the old gardens floating back, as if time itself remembered her. Inside the courtyard, vines had overgrown the fountains and balconies. Wildflowers had rooted through the cracks of marble. Nature had reclaimed the stone, wrapping it in green tenderness. It did not feel ruined. It felt alive in a softer way, humbled and healing. Snow White ran her fingertips along the balustrade, tracing the veins of ivy as if reading the castle's new story. "This place," she murmured, "it's sleeping." The traveler nodded. "And so were you." For a moment, they stood together in the courtyard, listening to the breath of the wind through the open gates. It carried the faint echo of a lullaby, the song her mother once sang when the world was young. The notes drifted through the air like feathers of memory. Then she saw it, the great mirror tower rising high above the roofs, its crystal windows glinting faintly in the morning sun. A shiver passed through her. Somewhere in that tower, she knew, the queen still lived, yet she felt no hatred now, no pulse of fear, only a strange compassion, the kind one feels for a storm that has finally passed. "Will she see me?" Snow White asked quietly. "She already does," the traveler answered, his voice low. "She has never stopped." Snow White looked up at the tower again, the mirrored glass flashing with cold light, and in that shimmer, she thought she saw her own reflection, faint, overlapping with the sky. The sound of wings broke the silence. A single white dove rose from the balcony, spiraling upward, disappearing into the clouds. The traveler turned to her. "Before you climb that tower, remember this. Peace does not come from conquering the darkness, but from seeing it and choosing light." Snow White breathed deeply, her heart steady and full. Each inhale drew strength. Each exhale released the weight of years. She looked at the castle, its towers wrapped in silence, its halls waiting like open arms. She did not see ruin anymore. She saw possibility. With slow, sure steps, she crossed the courtyard, the traveler, a quiet presence beside her. And as she moved deeper into the heart of the castle, the air began to change. Softer, warmer, almost luminous, as if the walls themselves recognized her return. At the end of the corridor, a tall door waited, carved with roses and moonlight. Beyond it lay the queen's tower, and the mirror that had haunted them both. Snow White reached for the handle, her touch gentle, her breath calm. Behind her, the traveler spoke one final time before silence took hold. "Whatever you see," he said, "let it teach you how to love yourself." And with that, she stepped through the doorway into the Tower of Mirrors. and into the reflection that would change everything. At the top of the tower, where the wind whispered through broken panes of stained glass, the queen stood before the mirror that had ruled her heart for years. The frame was gilded with age, its surface trembling faintly in the light. Not glass, not quite air, something in between. She had not slept. She had not spoken to anyone for weeks. The servants had long since stopped knocking. Each day, she stood before the mirror, her breath slow, her eyes searching for the voice that once answered her every question. But now, when she asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall," the voice no longer replied, only silence and her own reflection, hollow-eyed and pale. Her fingers traced the golden rim. "Why do you not speak?" she whispered, her tone sharp but trembling. "Have I not given you everything? Have I not sacrificed beauty, time, love, peace, all for this?" The mirror's surface shivered once, then stillness. She leaned closer, desperate for a flicker of the power she once commanded, but all she saw was her own face, distorted by tears. The lines she had hidden with spells and potions now bloomed across her features like delicate cracks in porcelain. She touched them, stunned, as if they were marks of some new, unfamiliar truth. For the first time, she saw herself, not as the fairest, not as the feared, but as the human. The wind moaned softly through the window. The light changed, a warm, golden hue spilling across the floor. And then, for the first time in years, she heard the mirror whisper again. But its tone had changed, no longer cold, no longer commanding. It was softer now, almost kind. "Why do you ask me what you already know?" the voice murmured, like distant water beneath stone. The queen's breath caught. "Who speaks?" "The truth," said the mirror. "The truth you have avoided." Her knees weakened. She gripped the edge of the stand. "I wanted only to be seen, to be loved." "And yet," said the mirror, "you hid behind the image of perfection. You sought admiration, not love. You demanded the reflection to adore you. And in doing so, you turned your face away from the light." Tears began to fall, slow and silent. They hit the marble and shimmered like tiny fragments of dawn. She wanted to scream, to shatter the mirror, to flee from what she saw, but she couldn't. Something in the voice stilled her. She listened. "Beauty fades, as all things do," it said gently, "but the love you denied yourself could have made you endless." Her hands trembled. "Then what am I now?" she whispered. "A lesson," said the mirror, "a reflection that remembers what it once forgot." The queen sank to her knees. The air shimmered, and for a moment, she saw not herself, but the girl she had been long ago, laughing in the castle gardens, sunlight on her face, her heart unbroken by envy. The memory glowed inside the glass like a soul remembered. Then, through the blur of her tears, she saw movement behind her. Snow White stood at the door, quiet, still, wrapped in the same golden light that now touched the mirror. Neither spoke. For a long time, they simply looked at one another, two halves of the same wound. The queen's lips trembled. "You came back." Snow White nodded. "I came to end the story." The queen looked away, unable to meet her gaze. "You must hate me." "No," Snow White said softly. "I understand you." Her voice was gentle, but its truth filled the room like light through dark glass. The queen lifted her eyes again, seeing not accusation, but compassion, deep, steady, unshaken. Something broke quietly inside her. not with violence, but like a lock clicking open. The air around them warmed, the mirror's surface rippled, silver turning to pale gold. Snow White stepped closer. "You spent your life asking the mirror to tell you who you are," she said, her tone barely above a whisper. "But you never listened to the silence after it answered." The queen exhaled slowly, her tears still falling. "That silence," Snow White continued, "was trying to teach you how to see yourself without needing the world to look back." The queen closed her eyes. Her shoulders relaxed, and for the first time in her life, she breathed without fear of fading. The mirror shimmered brighter, the reflection of both women glowing within it. Youth and age, light and shadow, merging, no longer divided. And the voice spoke one final time, as if sealing a sacred truth. "When one heart forgives, the whole world begins again." Snow White reached out, taking the queen's trembling hand. Their fingers met, warm against warm. The tower grew silent. The mirror dissolved into pure light. And in that stillness, that golden, endless quiet, both women were seen at last. The air hung still in the tower, heavy with something that wasn't sorrow anymore. Something quieter, gentler, like a sigh that had been waiting to be released for lifetimes. The golden light that had filled the mirror now shimmered softly through the cracks in the walls, touching the stones. The queen's robe, Snow White's face. For a long time, they said nothing. The silence between them was no longer distance. It was understanding. Snow White's eyes were calm, wide with the knowing of someone who had walked through pain and come out whole. The queens were tired, rimmed with tears, but finally open, no longer sharp with envy, no longer burning with pride, only human. Snow White took a breath, slow, deep, steady. "Do you remember," she said softly, "the apple tree by the garden wall?" The queen blinked, startled. "Yes," she whispered. "You used to sit beneath it when you were a child. You sang to the sparrows." Snow White smiled faintly. "You planted that tree." The queen's lips parted in quiet surprise. She had forgotten that, forgotten the days before the mirror, before the fear of time, before the need to be adored. "I was happy then," she said, almost to herself. "I remember the way sunlight touched your hair. You laughed without reason. I used to think, if I could only hold that light, I would never grow old." Snow White stepped closer. Her voice softened even more. "You can't hold light," she said. "You can only become it." The queen's hands trembled. Her crown, long forgotten on the floor, lay half buried in dust, its jewels dull, meaningless. Her eyes lifted to Snow White's, searching for the truth inside her words. "How?" she whispered. Snow White reached out her hand again, slow, deliberate, steady, as a heartbeat. "Forgive yourself," she said, "not because you deserve it, but because your soul is tired of being at war." The queen's breath caught, breaking, and when she finally took Snow White's hand, something shifted in the air, like the sound of ice melting after a long winter. Her body trembled. A single sob escaped her lips, then another. She bowed her head, her tears falling freely now, not from guilt, but from release. Snow White said nothing. She simply stood with her, silent, strong, her hand unmoving. The golden light grew brighter around them, soft as dawn, filling every shadow until the darkness dissolved. When the queen lifted her face again, her expression had changed. The sharpness was gone, the fear was gone. In its place, peace, fragile but real. Snow, she whispered, her voice breaking on the name. I don't know how to begin again. Snow White smiled. You already have. The queen's lips trembled into the smallest smile. It looked like sunlight after rain, hesitant, but alive. They turned toward the window together. Outside, the world had begun to change. The forest that once felt haunted was now alive with color. Soft mists curling around the roots, new blossoms opening where poison once grew. The river glistened like a ribbon of stars, and somewhere beyond, the birds began to sing again. The queen watched, silent, as life returned to the land. It's beautiful, she whispered. Snow White nodded. It always was. You just forgot how to see it. They stood like that for a long while. Two souls, one story, no more enemies, no more queens or heirs. Just two reflections, learning to breathe together. At last, Snow White turned toward the door. I have to go, she said quietly. The queen looked at her, fear flickering for a heartbeat. Will I see you again? Snow White paused, her hand on the doorframe, light pooling around her like mist. In every sunrise, she said, in every mirror that forgives. Then she was gone. The queen stood alone, but she no longer felt the hollow ache that had ruled her life. She felt full, not of pride or power, but of something she hadn't known in years. Stillness. She walked slowly to the mirror's frame. It no longer showed her reflection, only a soft, golden glow, and in that glow, faintly, she saw her own smile. Real, human, fleeting. For the first time, she didn't try to capture it. She simply let it fade. The wind drifted through the tower again, no longer mournful, no longer sharp. A calm breath through an open window. The queen closed her eyes, and as the light touched her face, it seemed as though she too became part of it. Not gone, but forgiven, folded into the gentle rhythm of the world once more. Below, in the forest, Snow White walked through the trees. The path ahead shimmered softly in the last of the golden light. Every leaf, every root, every whisper of wind seemed to breathe the same message. It is finished. You are free. And somewhere deep inside her, in the quietest part of her being, she heard the echo of that truth, repeating softer and softer until it became a lullaby, until it became sleep. Night has returned to the kingdom, but it no longer carries fear. The stars rise quietly over the forest, each one a soft ember of memory, a story whispered back to the sky. The castle no longer glows with gold or firelight, only the pale shimmer of moonlight resting on stone, gentle and unhurried. You drift through this stillness, following Snow White's footsteps along the old path that leads away from the tower, through the blooming woods that once held shadows. The air smells of rain and moss, of life beginning again. Every sound is delicate now, a single leaf turning in the wind, a distant owl calling, the slow heartbeat of the earth beneath your feet. Her white gown moves like breath, blending with the mist that gathers low across the roots. She does not look back. There is nothing behind her anymore, only silence and forgiveness. The forest seems to open for her as she walks, the trees bowing, their branches parting to reveal a glade bathed in silver light. A small pool lies at its center, perfectly still, perfectly clear, reflecting the stars as if they have come down to rest upon its surface. She kneels beside it, her reflection shimmering softly in the water. But when she looks down, She no longer sees a girl made of sorrow or story. She sees light endlessly folding into itself. She smiles, and in that smile, the forest exhales. A wind moves gently through the leaves, carrying with it a scent of apple blossoms, faint, sweet, familiar. It passes over her face, through her hair, and lingers on the water's surface, where ripples bloom outward like soft rings of sound. You stand behind her in silence, watching, breathing with the rhythm of the night. Each breath feels slower, deeper, looser, the kind of breath that belongs to sleep. You feel your body soften with hers, shoulders falling, chest opening, the weight you carried dissolving like mist in sunlight. Every thought that once pressed against your mind begins to fade into the quiet hum of the forest, until only stillness remains. Snow White places her hands on the surface of the pool. Light drifts outward from her palms, flowing like water, like music that can't be heard but can be felt. It touches the trees, the stones, the air, and then it touches you. It feels like forgiveness, made visible, warm and endless. The kind of light that doesn't ask to be seen. It simply is. She closes her eyes. The stars above seem to lean closer. Her voice, when it comes, is a whisper, not to be answered, only heard. Every ending is just another form of waking, every sleep, a return to what is true. The words drift through the air like feathers. You let them settle around you, inside you, and suddenly it feels as if the forest is breathing you to sleep. Your pulse slows. Your thoughts scatter like leaves. The world narrows to sound. The faint rustle of wind through branches. The rhythm of your own heart. Snow White rises, turning her face toward the heavens. The moonlight spills down her hair, making her almost transparent, as though she's becoming the night itself. She takes one last breath, long, full, peaceful, and as she exhales, her form begins to dissolve into light. First her hair, then her hands, then her heart. Each part of her returns to the air, to the soil, to the quiet pulse of the world. The pool reflects the sky again, undisturbed. Only a single white petal remains upon its surface, spinning slowly, endlessly. You step closer, and for a moment, you see your own reflection beside hers. Two faces fading into the same gentle glow. And in that moment, you understand. The story was never about her alone. It was about the stillness waiting in all of us. The courage to forgive, the grace to let go, the quiet power to begin again. A deep calm begins to rise within you, warm and steady. Your body feels heavy now, comfortable, your breath soft and slow. The forest darkens, not from fear but from peace. The kind of darkness that holds you, the kind that listens. Far above, the last of the stars begins to shimmer in rhythm with your breath. Inhale, the light expands. Exhale, the world rests. Snow White's voice drifts one last time, as if carried on that very breath. Sleep now. The mirror is clear. The world is kind. You are home. The forest fades. The stars blur. The pool becomes only a circle of light behind your eyelids. And then, silence. A silence that doesn't end, but continues inside you. The silence of peace. The silence of healing. The silence of eternal rest. You drift deeper through the dream, through the hush, through the boundless night, until even the story lets go. and you are nothing but stillness, safe, loved, and endlessly free. The forest sleeps now, its heart still, its breath slow. Dew gathers along the edges of every leaf, glimmering like quiet thoughts before dawn. Nothing stirs, except the whisper of wind moving through tall grass, a language older than time, gentle as the pulse beneath your skin. Snow White's light has scattered into the night, into you, into everything. Her story lingers, not as memory, but as rhythm, a quiet pattern that hums through the soil and through the spaces between your breaths. You follow that rhythm, letting it draw you further inward. There is no castle anymore, no crown, no curse. Only the path of air that leads beyond the trees. Each step feels softer than the last, as if the ground itself has turned to cloud. You walk until walking becomes drifting, and drifting becomes floating, until you can no longer tell where your body ends and the sky begins. Above you spreads a black horizon stitched with slow-burning stars. They shimmer like thoughts that never needed to be spoken, each one a quiet yes, each one a promise kept. The night is vast, but it does not feel empty. It feels awake, aware, waiting for you to breathe with it. Inhale, the stars expand. Exhale, the world softens. Inhale, warmth gathers behind your chest. Exhale, the warmth spreads through your limbs. Dissolving all edges, you begin to sense the hum beneath everything, the low sound of being alive, patient and unhurried. It moves through your bones, through your heart, through every small space that once held tension. With each breath, that hum grows quieter, steadier, more certain. Somewhere far away, an unseen river moves beneath the ground, carrying silver light through its veins. You imagine its current, smooth and endless, winding beneath mountains and roots, washing every stone in calm. You realize that same river flows through you, not of water, but of peace. You can feel it pulsing at your fingertips, at your throat, behind your closed eyes. Your thoughts begin to slow, not stopping, just softening, like feathers settling after a storm. The need to remember fades. The need to reach fades. Even the need to rest fades, because rest has already found you. You lie back upon the invisible ground, arms at your sides, palms open to the sky. The air holds you as if it has been waiting all this time. A low breeze passes over you, neither warm nor cold, only present. It carries the faint scent of apple blossom, rose, rain, every scent of her story blended into one breath. You can almost hear her voice again, not speaking, but existing, an echo in the shape of calm. And in that echo, a truth unfolds, wordless yet understood. That peace is not something you find at the end of a journey. It is the quiet you uncover when you finally stop searching. Let that truth settle behind your ribs. Let it bloom there, like light through glass. Let it guide every breath you take from this moment on. Now the stars above begin to move, slow and circular, forming a vast spiral of gold and blue. They turn like the hands of time, but they measure no hours, only stillness. At the center of the spiral, a soft glow forms, a place of return, of homecoming. It calls to you not with sound, but with feeling, and you respond without words, sinking toward it as if sleep itself has taken your hand. Your body grows heavier, your breath deeper, the hum within you merging with the hum of the night. There is no distance now, no separation between you and what is. The darkness is kind, the darkness is complete, and as you drift through that spiral of stars, you feel yourself loosening, the mind releasing its last fragments of thought, the muscles releasing their need to hold. You are the air, the breath, the calm between heartbeats. You are the pause at the edge of dreaming, where everything begins again in silence. You sink deeper. You can almost feel the heartbeat of the world below you, vast and slow, matching your own. Each pulse tells you you are safe. Each pulse tells you you are loved. The stars flicker softer now, folding into mist, and the mist turns to night, and the night turns to sleep. Soon, there will be nothing left to listen for, nothing left to do, only the rhythm of breath, only the gentle echo of peace repeating itself through you, over and over, until even the sound of peace dissolves into stillness. The spiral of stars continues to turn, slower now, almost motionless, as though the universe has exhaled and chosen to rest beside you. You lie within its center, surrounded by quiet light, and the light feels alive, pulsing softly like a tide that never withdraws. Every thought that once drifted through you begins to fade into this ocean of calm. Worry melts first, then memory, then the thin veil of time itself. You no longer remember where the forest ended or when the sky began, only that everything is soft, and everything forgives you for being tired. You take another breath, deeper, slower, and with it comes a feeling of being held. The air beneath you thickens, warm as velvet, lifting and rocking you like the cradle of the world. It whispers through your mind in small, invisible waves. You are safe here. You have always been safe here. The faintest shimmer moves across your eyelids, perhaps the reflection of moonlight, perhaps the memory of Snow White's light returning home. It does not matter which, you are beyond needing to know. The sound of the world narrows until there is only one rhythm left, the slow, steady pulse of your breathing. It fills the dark like music, then drifts outward until it becomes the breathing of the forest, the sea, the stars. You have joined the great stillness. You have remembered the language of silence. Your chest rises once more, falls once more. Then even that motion becomes weightless, as though the body itself has turned to mist. Far above, the constellations fold into one another, forming a single, endless shape, neither circle nor line, but something like a heartbeat drawn across the night. Within it glows the same soft light that lived behind Snow White's eyes, the promise that gentleness always survives, that love does not vanish when the story closes. It simply becomes part of the quiet. You can sense it entering you now, settling behind your ribs like a second dawn. It spreads through your chest, down your arms, into your fingers, into your palms. Wherever it flows, tension releases, muscles loosen, thought dissolves. You are empty, and that emptiness feels full. A faint wind passes, carrying the scent of rain and apple blossom. It brushes your hair, traces your jaw, moves downward across your shoulders. Everywhere it touches, warmth remains. The warmth of forgiveness, the warmth of belonging. You feel yourself drifting farther, yet somehow deeper, as though sleep is not a place you fall into, but a vast presence rising to meet you. The world narrows to breath again. Slower still. Inhale. Peace gathers. Exhale. Peace stays. At the edge of awareness, a horizon begins to bloom. Black sky giving way to silver. Silver giving way to the softest blue. It is not morning, not yet. It is the light that exists between dreams, where the soul remembers itself. The air here is thinner, quieter, older than sound. You float through it effortlessly, weightless as a thought returning to its source. And then, a voice, familiar and infinite, whispers through the stillness. It is not Snow White's, nor the narrator's, nor your own. It is the voice of everything that ever loved you saying, "Rest now. You have done enough. You have been enough all along." The words echo once, twice, then dissolve into silence. You feel them settle into every corner of you, behind your eyes, in your throat, in the space between heartbeats. They become the rhythm of your sleep. Your breath lengthens again, deeper than before, slower than before. The stars dim to embers. The sky folds over you like a great black sea. You let go completely. There is no story left, only the warmth of your body surrounded by night. There is no name left, only the softness of being. And from somewhere beyond the edge of dreaming, the whisper returns, smaller now, but endless. Sleep. Let the forest guard you. Let the stars remember you. Let peace keep you. The words fade, but the feeling remains. A steady glow beneath your ribs, a quiet pulse that tells you the tale has become part of you. You are floating now, deeper and deeper, through layers of calm so wide that even time forgets to move. Every breath draws you inward until breathing itself feels optional, effortless, like the tide resting between waves. And then, nothing but stillness, a stillness thick and luminous, shaped like the space between two heartbeats. It holds you, it keeps you, it dreams you. Sleep.